Woody or Won't He? It's another wonderful episode of Cheers. This is the 17th episode of Season 8. It's directed by Andy Ackerman, and as always there will be spoilers from now as I go through the episode chronologically and share some thoughts. It's a solid episode. There are some fun facts that we can talk about. There's a particular Guinness World Record that I looked into that we can go over, so there are a lot of interesting things here to cover. The episode starts off with Carla approaching a character called Phil, and he is a tyre distributor from Rhode Island. He's played by Robert Gallo. He doesn't remember Carla, despite the fact that the time they shared together involved mirrors on the ceilings and a vibrating bed. Only when she mentions this tie trick did he then remember her and said that he had a few hours spare, and, well, he made her sick. So, not a bad opening, really good fun. Then after the intro, Rebecca comes out from the office and we get a bit of suspense as she's clearly irritated about something, which is usually the case with Rebecca. And it turns out one of the restaurants owned by the company has been liquidated and they want to send Cheers the one piece of equipment they couldn't liquidate. And this is a mechanical bull. And we have a great exchange between Norm and Cliff. Norm says, "Well, I have to say those mechanical bulls are like the most pointless thing ever put in a bar." To which Cliff responds, now, Norm. And Norm's response, present company accepted. But my favourite bit is when Cheers went, "Thank you, Norm." I think he was being sincere. I do think that Cliff loves to be considered, regardless of the reason. And being considered the most pointless thing in a bar is more important to Cliff than not being considered at all. In my opinion, of course. Woody then asks Sam for some advice on his ties. One of the ties lights up, but it doesn't have batteries, so that's kind of pointless. And he explains that he's nervous because he's meeting Kelly's mother. And then Kelly's mother walks in. This is Roxanne Gaines, played by Melendy Britt. And Sam is charming to her. Woody is nervous, and he forgot to take the stickers, or all of the stickers, out of his new underwear. He's very uncomfortable, but actually, I thought he made quite a nice impression. And I kind of like the fact that he said he is nervous. I think, rather than worrying that you're coming across as nervous, just say you're nervous. It's also a bit of an icebreaker as well. And she seemed really, really nice. I think Woody said all of the right things. And then Woody invites Kelly to her sister's rehearsal dinner. Her sister's getting married, of course. And she invites Sam as well. And as that scene fades, Woody puts his arm around Sam and smiles. And it was such a lovely, lovely moment. Rebecca is then wearing very bright pink, wonderful outfit. And she comes through from the back room, encouraging the guys to get on the mechanical bull. It's obviously arrived. And Carla also looks awesome. She's wearing a blouse with horses on it and little cowboy boot pink earrings. Love the costumes in this episode. And Carla says that Clavin's too chicken for not going on the bull. And everybody starts clucking at him. And of course, it's like a red rag to a bull. Clavin leaves his keys with Norm, and he disappears through to the back room. And Norm then decides to move Cliff's car as a prank. But then we hear absolute chaos from the back room. We never get to see the mechanical bull. It wasn't essential. In fact, not seeing it kind of let us imagine what it would look like. But at the same time, had they decided to show it, it would have been good fun, but I don't really have a problem with the fact that we didn't actually see anything. And it's very clear that Cliff had started on the highest setting, and it was getting very much out of hand. The noises Ratzenberger makes throughout the rest of this episode, they're very convincing, very fabulous. It's all very chaotic and an absolute joy. We then get an establishing shot of the Gaines house. I'm not sure if I've ever looked into this before. I can't remember if we've had establishing shots of the property before. We must have done, I'm sure we have. But I did look into it. It took me a bit of time to find it. But then thankfully somebody on Reddit actually asked the question. And it turns out that it's a villa from 1917, designed by David Adler. And it actually sold in 2012 for $4.1 million. I will link the article where I found that, or I guess where the Redditor linked to it, in the description. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous property. The reception dinner is really busy. There are a lot of people there. The costumes are gorgeous. Woody is asking Sam why there are 2 forks in the dining room for each person. And, well, Sam says it's so you have a spare in case you drop one, which is not the most illogical response, because it would be really embarrassing to have to get down on your hands and knees to retrieve a fork. It's not the reason, but I can see Sam's logic. Sam then overhears the boys, as the characters are introduced, talking about a financial opportunity, and Sam says that he happens to have $500 burning a hole in his account, and he wants in. It turns out the shares are $1,000 each. it's an interesting moment because if Sam really has $500 burning a hole in his account, that's money he could be putting towards getting Cheers back. I assume his logic was that he'd invest this and get a lot of money back, but it's quite a risk, and $500 is a lot of money today, never mind when this aired, and we'll come back to that in a little bit. Then Kelly's mother talks with Woody, and they have a really nice discussion to begin with. It seems like she really likes Woody, but Woody really wants that confirmation, and he asks her, "Do you like me?" And her response? Well, she pounces on Woody, and Woody responds with a voice that I have never heard him use before. He is clearly very much out of his depth, as I imagine anybody would be if their prospective mother-in-law dived on them and tried to make out with them. So I think Woody's response was very reasonable. And before they get a chance to discuss what's happened, everybody comes into the room for professional photographs. And I love this scene so much. One, because it's funny, but two, because it's quite nice for Woody. They're all standing to get their photo taken. Of course, Mrs. Gaines is next to Woody, and he makes a whoop noise because she's clearly pinching his butt from behind. And he explains where he comes from. Everybody whoops before they get the photograph taken. And nobody discusses it, nobody says anything. The photographer counts down again, and everybody whoops. And I love that. They didn't question Woody, they didn't raise an eyebrow, they all just decided in unison that we're going to whoop. And I thought that was such a lovely, welcoming thing to do. I might be looking into it too much. I think it was just done for comedic effect. But it was also a really, really sweet moment. They then all go to the dining room. Woody talks with Sam briefly first, and Sam just suggests ignoring the problem, and it will go away. And to be honest, I don't think that's the worst advice. If this was a one-time thing, and she didn't do anything else, let's just pretend it never happened. I don't know if that's always going to be the best case scenario, but in the moment, I feel like that was the most logical approach. Rather than making a scene, it's not the right place and the right time. Granted, it's not the right place and the right time to be doing that to Woody either. And then Mrs. Gaines leads Woody into the dining room by his hand. We then go back to Cheers, and Cliff is still on the bull, and Carla responds to this. How do you like that? For once, the bull's throwing Clavin around, which I thought was a fabulous, fabulous comment from Carla. And an electrician's come over to try and sort out the problem, but he says, if we did kill the power, the bull would stop too abruptly, might send that mailman right through the wall. And Carla, hearing this, rushes to the fuse box. And of course, Rebecca rushes after her because she knows it's probably not the best scenario. Also, killing the power in the bar would probably have some consequences as well. So Cliff is still on the bull. We then get another establishing shot of the property. We then have lovely background music, and Woody is sitting beside Mrs. Gaines, and she tells him about her time as a dancer, and she says, and I quote, "You don't get thighs like these from cracking coconuts." We then find out that Sam's investment was a terrible idea. Who could have seen that one coming? And then Woody stands up and has quite an outburst, and he says, and I quote, "Mrs. Gaines, stop it. I'm not having sex with you. I won't have sex with you. I won't. No sex. Do you hear me? Now I want both hands and both feet on the table right now." And he sits down. And we'll ignore the fact that she wasn't going to put her feet on the table regardless. But I don't know what Woody meant by that. But there's obviously a bit of awkwardness. And then Woody just turns to Kelly and says, "Kelly, am I using the right fork?" And we go back to Cheers without discussing it any further. And Rebecca and Carla are actually looking through a world record book for mechanical bull riding. It could be good publicity for Cheers. And I don't want to spoil the fun, but I did Google it. And in 2005, 15 years after this episode aired, the world record was 2 minutes and 15 seconds for riding on a mechanical rodeo. And I will link that in the description. And obviously, Cliff's been on this for a very long time. He's already broken the record. I couldn't find out what the record was earlier than that. Certainly what it would have been in 1990. But obviously if the record in 2005 was 2 minutes 15, it would have been a lot shorter. So, well done, Cliff. You've broken the record. And Woody is actually at the bar. And of course he's worrying that he's lost Kelly forever. And then Kelly actually comes in and she says to him, "I'm just sorry that Mother gave you the wrong impression. Mother likes to flirt. It's all innocent fun. She says it keeps her young." Kelly's quite naive. This is not the first time we learn this about Kelly, but certainly nobody's buying that at all. And Kelly tells Woody, confirms for Woody, that he hasn't blown the relationship with her and she still loves him, and actually her mother likes him and wanted to come to the bar to apologise in person, but Kelly didn't think it would be a good idea, so she had her mother write Woody a letter instead. And Kelly leaves, and the guys at the bar all laugh a little bit about how it's so absurd that Woody could have ever believed that Mrs. Gaines was actually interested in him. Maybe Kelly was right, she was just being a bit flirtatious for the fun of it. And then Woody reads out the apology note, and it's not an apology note. I think anybody could have seen this coming, that the note was going to be very heavily flirtatious and sexual in nature, and it certainly wasn't an apology. It's quite a risk, because Woody could have read it out in front of Kelly. Obviously, that's not how it played out in the episode, but her mother clearly does not care about anybody finding out about her ways. Maybe she thinks that she can manipulate Kelly, as she clearly has been. And at the very end of the episode, 2 firefighters come out from the back. They've apparently put mattresses everywhere. It's the safest it will ever be for this to stop abruptly. But it turns out that actually Cliff just needs to be on the ball for 5 more hours to break the record. And Carla shouts through, asking him if he wants to continue. And no, he says he wants to get off. Carla chooses to miss here. She tells the bar he's going to go for the record. And everybody's excited. Obviously, as I've already found out, the record is 2 minutes and 15 seconds. Which for me seems really not a very long amount of time. I've never been on a mechanical bull. Don't think I ever will be on one. But that really just goes to show how challenging it must be to stay on one. And it does seem like a short amount of time. It seems like it would be an easy record to break, but obviously that's not the case. Otherwise, somebody would have broken it in the last 20-something years. So, yeah, Cliff's clearly broken the record. But nevertheless, it's a decent episode. Really thoroughly enjoyed it. Personal highlights. The costumes are fabulous. Carla's horse shirt with the little cowboy boot earrings. Rebecca's bright pink outfit I absolutely love. All of the outfits at the reception dinner were really nice. Woody's tie, the tie that he chooses to wear to the dinner is nice. There's a lot of soft, delicate colour in that scene. It's really, really nice. The decor is stunning, and the costumes go really well with the decor, which has quite a nice soft palette as well. Visually, it's fabulous. John Ratzenberger gets a lot of credit for the noises he was making, because they sounded fabulous and believable and realistic as well. We have some great dialogue, and I think it's safe to say Woody or Won't He is a pretty fabulous episode of Cheers.